And there's no doubt in my mind that my baby is resting in the arms of Jesus.
This is Sean Grayson, and he is facing several charges, including first-degree murder. He was fired from the Sheriff's Department earlier this week.
On a quiet night in Springfield, Illinois, Sonya Massey called 911 out of concern for her safety. Two sheriff's deputies, one being a towering Army veteran by the name of Sean Grayson, showed up at her door. What was meant to be a routine check quickly turned into a nightmare. Grayson aggressively yelled at Massey, ultimately shooting her in the face as she attempted to surrender. And even after the tragic incident, Grayson's callousness towards human life continued as he refused to render aid to Massey while his partner did everything in their power to help. This behavior was not an isolated incident, as it was later revealed that Grayson had changed police jobs 6 times in just 4 years. It wasn't until July 17th that he was indicted on charges of first-degree murder and subsequently fired from the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office. But even with all the red flags surrounding Grayson's past behavior, authorities still deemed him fit for duty. Now, Massey's father is calling for change with the Sonya Massey bill. The tragic death of this unarmed mother serves as a reminder of the importance of proper vetting and accountability within law.
Sean Grayson appeared before a judge for the first time since being arrested yesterday. He was also ordered to stay in custody in a local county jail. We have been following this story for you from the beginning. This evening, we are bringing you team coverage as we continue to learn more about what led to the death of Sonya Massey. We start with Fox Illinois' Julia Rosier, who was in the courtroom this afternoon. Julia?
Eliza, that's right. Sean Grayson made his first appearance in the courtroom today in person. Cameras were not allowed inside the courtroom, but the courtroom was crowded with Sonya Massey's family and friends. Today's hearing was to decide whether or not Grayson will stay behind bars while awaiting his trial. The prosecution argued that Grayson is a risk to the community and no combination of conditions would limit that threat. But the defense had 3 separate arguments: ties to the community, as he worked for several different law enforcement agencies throughout central Illinois. He's not a flight risk because he hasn't tried to run since the incident, and his medical history. He was diagnosed with colon cancer and has an ostomy bag. Family and friends of Sonya Massey were in the courtroom today. They even at times got very emotional. When the judge announced his decision that Grayson would stay behind bars, people began to cheer, and the judge quickly told them to be quiet. Reporting live in Springfield, I'm Julia Rosier. Back to you.
Thank you, Julia. Grayson will be back in court on August 26th, and the body camera video from that night of the shooting will be publicly released on Monday. Be sure to stay with Fox Illinois on air and online for the latest on this story. And attorney for Sonya Massey's family releasing a statement applauding the judge for keeping Grayson in custody. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump saying in part, quote, "Today's decision by the judge to hold Deputy Sean Grayson in custody without bail marks another crucial step in the pursuit of justice for Sonya Massey's family, emphasizing the gravity of the charges and the severity of the officer's actions," end quote. And since her death, Sonya Massey's family has seen support from both the community and Illinois officials. Governor J.B. Pritzker called the shooting a tragedy during a press conference today.
I feel for not just the families, the family of the victim, but also the families of Sangamon County, and then all people of color who have had to endure these kinds of circumstances and to witness them, because it affects everyone, even if it's never happened to you specifically.
In the hours since former Deputy Sean Grayson was indicted on multiple charges, including murder, we have learned more about what led up to the shots being fired in Sonya Massey's home. We continue our team coverage with Fox Illinois' Carson Gordy with what he has found out today. Carson?
The document details the events caught in the morning of July 6th at Sonya Massey's home. Grayson and another deputy arrived at Massey's home after she called 911 about a prowler. During the incident, Grayson allowed Massey to remove a pot of hot water off the stove. Then Grayson pulled out his service weapon and aimed at Massey. Massey put her hands in the air, said "I'm sorry," and ducked behind a counter. Grayson then got closer to her, continued to yell to put the pot down, and fired 3 shots at her, striking her in the face once. The report added that Grayson's body camera was not activated during the incident. He turned it on after the shooting. The footage was gathered from the other Sangamon County deputy who responded to the call. I'm Carson Gordy. Back to you.
Thank you, Carson. It was also noted in the charging documents Grayson made no attempt to help Massey after he shot her. The other deputy, whose name has not been released, did render aid to her. And tomorrow, the funeral for Sonya Massey will be held. It will be at Ruby Funeral Home. Visitation will begin at 9 a.m., followed by the service beginning at 10. And Fox Illinois will continue to follow this story and ongoing criminal cases. You can find the latest updates both on air and our website, foxillinois.com, and also our social media pages. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Eliza Petrie. We are continuing our coverage into the investigation following the death of Sonya Massey. The former deputy being charged in her death has pleaded not guilty. Sean Grayson entering his plea in court today. He's facing 3 counts of first-degree murder, aggravated battery with a firearm, and official misconduct. And Sean Grayson will be held in jail until his trial after Sangamon County prosecutors argued he's at risk to the community. Fox Illinois' Carson Gordy joins us now with an update. Carson.
In a standing room only courtroom, prosecutors argued why former Sangamon County Deputy Sean Grayson was unjustified in shooting and killing Sonya Massey. Tonight we have obtained 911 calls from the night Massey was shot and killed.
You can start 2868 Hoover, 2868 Hoover. Units on scene are 1078, shots fired.
Earlier that morning, Sean Grayson and an unnamed Sangamon County deputy responded to a 911 call from Sonya Massey, who called the police after concerns of a prowler. The deputies entered the home. The charging documents say Grayson made a comment about a pot on the stove. Massey set the pot of water down on the counter. Documents say that despite distance and relative cover, Grayson pulled his handgun and threatened to shoot Massey in the face. She then put her hands in the air and said "I'm sorry" while ducking for cover behind a counter. Grayson got closer and continued to yell at Massey to put the pot down. He then fired 3 shots, striking her once in the face.
2868 Hoover Street, county's out requesting EMS. There's shots fired, stating that a female shot in the head.
In court Thursday, a judge denied Grayson pretrial release after arguments that he's a danger to the community. Some people in the room erupted in applause. An Illinois State Police investigation says Grayson was not justified to use deadly force. Sangamon County prosecutors say Grayson instructed the other deputy to not provide medical aid to Massey. Grayson's lawyer argued that he is not a flight risk and that complications from colon cancer puts his safety at risk while in jail. He faces 5 criminal counts, including 3 counts of first-degree murder. He faces life in prison if convicted. The body camera footage is expected to be released during Monday morning. Grayson's body camera was not on during the shooting. It was turned on after. Footage was caught on the other deputy's camera. I'm Carson Gordy. Back to you.
Thank you, Carson. Grayson is expected to be back in court on August 26th. And audio from the Sangamon County Dispatch states a contradiction from Sonya Massey's official cause of death. A criminal investigation states Massey was shot in the face by Sean Grayson. Here is audio after the shooting.
Just confirm self-inflicted. 2 on off.
Copy County's update. I didn't. Self-inflicted. Okay, thank you.
We asked Sangamon County if they knew who contacted dispatch and told them the gunshots were self-inflicted. An official tells Fox Illinois he was not aware of the audio or who would have made that claim. And civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who is representing Massey's family, will be at the funeral tomorrow. He released a statement today saying in part, quote, "Today's decision by the judge to hold Deputy Sean Grayson in custody without bail marks another crucial step in the pursuit of justice for Sonya Massey's family, emphasizing the gravity of the charges and the severity of the officer's actions, end quote. And tomorrow, the funeral for Sonya Massey will be held. It will be at Ruby Funeral Home. Visitation will begin at 9:30, followed by the service beginning at 10. And we're also learning new details about Sonya Massey. She was born in 1988 in San Diego, California. She attended church at 2nd Timothy Baptist Church. According to her obituary, she was a devoted mother. She loved to do hair and spend time with her family. She retired at J&J Gaming. And Governor Pritzker also responding to Sonya Massey's death.
First of all, this is a devastating occurrence and tragedy. And I mean this when I became aware of it and the circumstances of it. We've seen too much of this, where an innocent person, unarmed, who actually called for assistance, was the target and the victim of a shooting by a police officer.
Pritzker goes on to say this incident does not reflect on all police officers. And the city of Springfield is issuing a notice to the community due to the findings of the investigation into Sonya Massey's death. City officials say they want to ensure the Massey family, their supporters, and the community can safely express their pain and responses. They add there will be an increased police presence. And be sure to follow us on our website as well as our social media pages. We will provide you with the latest details as they become available. Welcome back. We're continuing our coverage into the investigation following the death of Sonya Massey. The former deputy being charged in her death has pleaded not guilty. Sean Grayson entering his plea in court today. He's facing 3 counts of first-degree murder, aggravated battery with a firearm, and official misconduct. All of the details in this charging document was taken from the body camera footage from the night of the incident. Grayson arrived on scene with another deputy whose name has not been released. The video is from the other deputy's camera, not Grayson, because his camera was not on. He turned it on after he fired those fatal shots at Sonya Massey. The document says Grayson shot Massey even though she had her hands in the air, apologizing to the deputies. According to an expert in the field of use of force, Grayson was not justified in his use of deadly force. And the body camera video from the night of that shooting will be publicly released on Monday. Be sure to stay with Fox Illinois on air and online for the latest on the story. And we now have new details about Grayson's work history. Since beginning his law enforcement career in 2020, he has worked at 6 different departments. He started out with Pawnee Police, then moved to Kincaid, followed by Verdon and Auburn Police Departments. He started working at Logan County Sheriff's Department in May of 2022. He was hired by Sangamon County 1 year later. And the governor responding to Sonya Massey's death during an event today.
But the tragedy of this is heartbreaking. And I feel for not just the families, the family of the victim, but also the families of Sangamon County, and then all people of color who have had to endure these kinds of circumstances and to witness them, because it affects everyone.
He also says that he believes that the state's attorney in Sangamon County acted appropriately. And Illinois Senator Dick Durbin releasing a statement on Sonya Massey's death, saying in part, quote, "Our law enforcement officers are called on to protect and serve their communities with honor and courage. But any who fail to follow the high standards they have sworn to uphold must be held accountable." The Illinois State Police conducted a thorough investigation of Sonya's tragic death, and the Sangamon County State's attorney brought the necessary changes in a timely way, end quote.